All right, let's talk about the court organization. So we are going to start at the bottom, and let me show you a chart. We're starting at the bottom. So we are going to first talk about local level courts. And again, because we have a decentralized court system in Texas, when we talk about our judicial branch, we have to talk about different levels, not just state level. All right, let's talk about municipal courts. Municipal is another word for local city courts. And so let's talk about what jurisdiction, what kind of cases can a city court hear? Well, they can hear they can hear low-level minor violations is what they say. Low-level violations. And I'm just going to tell you now that that's a Class C misdemeanor. Just have to take my word for it till we get to chapter 10. And that happened within their city limits. So you cannot get a ticket in Grand Prairie from an Arlington police officer because they only have the ability to give a ticket within the city that they are employed, and they can only send cases to their own city courts. They also hear violations of city ordinances. Like I got a ticket one time after a tornado because I had a swimming pool in my backyard and the fence was blown down, and you were supposed to repair a fence within 24 hours of it going down if you have a swimming pool. And so I got a ticket for not repairing the fence after the tornado. City of Arlington, man. They in municipal courts, the judges get their jobs by being hired by the city council. And so they are the only level of court that does, or the only courts that don't actually have elected judges. And a lot of times these courts don't keep a record. They don't have a court reporter sitting there typing. They often don't even have a tape recorder going if you have a trial. So to be a court, what is called a court of record. So you have the ability to, and permission from the state of Texas, to have a court reporter or to record proceedings. And if you have not done that, if you don't have that permission, then if somebody appeals a case, listen to me, if somebody appeals a case from a municipal court that is not a court of record, doesn't have a record of the trial or the hearing, that case, number one, goes to a county court. Just put that in your back pocket. It goes to a county court. And number two will be, here we go with the Latin, a trial de novo. That means of new, brand new. They will start the case over as if it never was heard in municipal court. And it is a lot of times these cases take forever to get heard. You review, and this, when I was doing criminal law for that short period of time, we always appealed cases if the court was not a court of record. And a lot of times the cases would get dismissed because the police officer wasn't there anymore. The police officer didn't have time to show up in county court, all kinds of stuff. So that was our trick. You always appeal a ticket from municipal court. So on the same level as a municipal court, the lower level local courts is called a justice of the peace court, and we actually call them JP courts often in Texas. Any given county can have up to 8 different precincts, and justices of the peace are elected. They are elected. Now, are there qualifications to be a justice of the peace? No, there are none. Zero. There are no education requirements. There's no citizenship requirements. Well, no, there's no nothing. And in Tarrant County, justice of the peace make like $150,000 a year, 170, quite a bit. You do have to run. You do run in partisan elections, so it kind of depends on your county and whether or not they have a tendency to elect Democrats or Republicans. We in Tarrant County have 2 justices of the peace that are Democrats. One of them is in Precinct 8, which is kind of the Stop 6 Highland Hills area. And one is in Precinct 1 that includes north side of Fort Worth, not Dallas. So what kind of cases can a justice of the peace court hear? Well, they can hear criminal cases where the fine is less than $500, minor violations, if it did not happen within a city limits. So anything on the outskirts of town, on county land, where like a sheriff gives you the ticket, that is going to go to a justice of the peace. They also can hear civil cases, and they can hear civil cases where the amount in dispute is less than $10,000. We sometimes call these small claims courts. They are designed to give a easy and cheap way to resolve disputes that are not hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. So, if you have ever watched like People's Court, sometimes Judge Judy, they actually are real cases, but that's what you can expect. People talking all out of turn, people saying stuff that they're not supposed to. Justices of the peace do not care. A justice of the peace court can also issue warrants, search warrants, and arrest warrants. And once you get the job, since there are no qualifications, once you get the job, they do require you to take some training, but it is it's one of the best jobs going. Justices of the peace can also collect money for marrying people, for actually officiating weddings. And if it is a small county that doesn't have a coroner, the justice of the peace will act as the coroner, basically declare that someone has passed away and sign death certificates. So justices of the peace, depending on if it's a large county or a small county, have a lot of jobs and wear a lot of hats. But they have their courts where they hear small claims and Class C misdemeanors or criminal cases where the fine is less than $500. So we have talked about local trials of limited jurisdiction. Notice that on the side where it says limited jurisdiction. Limit of municipal courts, fine of $500, and city ordinances, because sometimes they have fines. Limit on justice courts, civil cases up to $10,000, and Class C misdemeanors. So now we are going to talk about county level courts. County level courts. So there are really two types of county courts in Texas. One of them is called county court. Just county court. That's the easiest way to say it. We have 254 counties in the state. Every county has one county judge. They are elected in partisan elections, meaning you have to run as a Democrat or a Republican or a Green Party or Libertarian, and they serve 4-year terms. What is their jurisdiction? County courts can hear civil matters where the dispute is between $200 and $10,000. So there's some overlap between county courts and justice of the peace courts. And they can also hear probate matters. Probate refers to a case where the person that is the subject matter cannot speak for themselves, either legally or physically is unable to speak for themselves. So the court's job is to take care of the affairs, or sometimes we call it the estate of the person. And why would they not be able to? Well, they could be too young. You cannot represent yourself or have a case pending in court if you are under 18. So they're going to have to appoint someone to represent you. If you are mentally incapacitated, if you have passed away, you're not going to be able to physically represent yourself. So they're going to appoint someone to handle your estate. If you are have been in an accident and you are not able to leave the hospital, or you're not conscious, or if you are elderly and you have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's or dementia, so you're no longer able to take care of your affairs. So those are all examples of probate matters, and those are heard in county courts. Now, on the criminal side, county courts hear Class A misdemeanors. So, it is criminal matters for serious misdemeanors, Class A and B, I think, where punishment is greater than $500 or jail time is less than 1 year. So that's a Class B misdemeanor. So the lowest is C, middle is B, highest is A. So they can hear Class B misdemeanors in county court. Now, let's think about this. Harris County has, 5 million people? Dallas County has, more than a million, because there's a million people in Dallas. Tarrant County has, we're about to get new census numbers, but at the last census, just under 800,000 people in the city of Fort Worth. That is not including the surrounding counties. So it became quite apparent that you were not going to be able to have just one court handling all the Class A and B misdemeanors and all the probate matters in some counties. So, what the court did was decided that they were going to create some courts through the law. And those are actually called county courts at law. County courts at law can hear up to $200,000 in civil matters, and the same for criminal matters, class A and B misdemeanors. They also can hear appeals from municipal courts. Those de novo appeals, they can hear those as well. So you have Tarrant County, Dallas County, Harris County, Bexar County, Travis County, I know for sure, all have separate probate courts. So all they hear is probate matters. Then they have civil courts, county civil court at law number 1 through 8. And then they have criminal courts, county court at law number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that is a lot of county level courts. If we are looking at numbers, municipal courts hear a lot more criminal cases than civil cases, 91%. Justices of the peace hear about 81% of criminal cases. County courts hear it's 61 to 39%. We're now going to talk about district courts. Now, district courts hear a lot more civil matters. Courts of appeals is about half and half, and then we got the Court of Criminal Appeals and the Supreme Court, which we'll talk about momentarily. Let's talk about district courts. So district court is a court. Let's go back and look at our chart. This is a court of unlimited jurisdiction. It's a trial court of general and special jurisdiction. So as far as criminal matters are concerned, district courts can hear felonies. As far as civil matters are concerned, district courts can hear anything above $200 with no top limit. So unlimited jurisdiction as far as civil matters are concerned. And they also hear, district courts also hear family matters. Family court includes divorces, child support, child custody, name change, if someone is going to be removed, parental rights are going to be removed, like CPS, Family and Protective Services cases. Those are going to be heard by district courts. And in Texas, juvenile cases are considered civil, and they are heard in district courts. So unlimited civil jurisdiction, bottom is $200. Felony cases is criminal, and juvenile cases, which are this hybrid civil and criminal, but are heard in family court, and they hear family matters. District courts don't have a lot of trials. In fact, a lot of criminal matters end up in a plea bargain, meaning that the district attorney or the prosecutor offers some type of deal that would give you a lower sentence or keep you from getting the death penalty and not having to go through a trial, and you agree to plead guilty in exchange for not having to go through the trial, and you just go ahead and take the fine or the time that they are offering. That's called a plea bargain. It's a negotiation between the prosecution and the defense or defendant in the case. All right. So in Texas, we have 3 levels of court that are have appellate jurisdiction. Well, county courts have appellate jurisdiction, for municipal court, for municipal matters. But so we have a court of appeals. There are 14 courts of appeals in the state of Texas. All of them have several judges, and all of those judges are elected in partisan elections. They hear appeals from county court and district court. And I suppose they can hear appeals from JP court as well. They hear both civil matters and criminal matters. They do not have to accept appeals. Everybody that appeals and says that the judge did something wrong does not get their case heard. And a lot of people cannot afford to appeal a case in the first place. So they don't hear anywhere near as many cases as district courts and county courts do. And their job, of course, is to review the case to see if there were any legal decisions made that do not comply with the law, or that affected the outcome of the trial or hearing adversely. Then at the top, we have two courts that are called courts of last resort. If the matter is purely state law, it doesn't involve any violation of United States constitutional rights or violation of some law that was some federal law, then this is the end of the road in Texas. So that's why we call them courts of last resort. We have two. And don't ask me why, because I got nothing. I don't know. Us in Oklahoma, there are two states that have this system. We have the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court hears civil matters. And we have the Court of Criminal Appeals, and they hear criminal matters. There are 9 justices on the Supreme Court, or 8 justices and a chief justice, and 8 judges and a chief judge on the Court of Criminal Appeals. So a total of 18 people at our 2 highest courts. The Court of Criminal Appeals has automatic and exclusive jurisdiction to review death penalty cases. Where would a death penalty case come from? It would come from a district court, because district courts are the only ones that can hear felony cases. You can say, I don't want it to be appealed, I want to just accept it. It's still going to go to the Court of Criminal Appeals, and they're going to go through all the proceedings and all of the decisions with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that your rights were not violated. All right, let's talk about that Supreme Court. So they're the final court of appeals on any state matters in civil cases and juvenile cases, which are odd, but okay. They can also issue writs, telling you that you have to do something. And they are in charge of any hearing to remove a judge or involuntary retirement of a judge. So this would be in lieu of an impeachment hearing. They can actually hear cases about judicial misconduct. They also are in charge of licensing for all attorneys in the state. And they get to establish the rules for judges. So they actually have written a code that says this is what judges can do, this is what judges must do, this is what judges can't do. That is all the requirement, that is all part of the power of the Supreme Court. I don't know what FPO stands for. Oh, this. I don't know. So the person that's sitting in the middle is the Chief Justice. There are 9 of them, and a total 1 Chief Justice and 8 associate judges. They run for these offices. They serve for 6 years.